Okay, so we are going to find a confidence interval for a population proportion here. So we're going to look for, since we're dealing with proportions, we're going to look for a sample size and a quote unquote number of successes from that sample size. So in a recent survey of 327 patients, that is a sample size, 327, testing a new depression medication. 296 of them stated that their symptoms were alleviated. We'll call that the number of successes, 296. Notice this is X and not X bar. This is X, the number of successes, not X bar, a sample mean. Don't confuse your notation. So success here is basically defined that the symptoms from this medication were alleviated, okay? Identify the values needed to calculate a confidence interval at the 90% confidence level. Okay, so CL confidence level is 90%. I'm going to use the calculator trick. So I think I have everything I need for the population proportion, then find and interpret the results. So I'm going to represent it in tri-inequality form, and I'll represent it in interval notation for the population proportion, which in this case is the proportion that tested a new depression medication and had symptoms that were alleviated. So we're going to use our graphing calculator here. So when you want to find a confidence interval, stat tests, we're going to go to one prop z int, right? We want it for a proportion and an interval. We already defined our x as 296. We defined our n as 327. We defined our C level, confidence level as 90%, so 0.9. Calculate. It's going to give it to us in interval notation. We want to be sure we round based on how we're asked to round. So it says, let me get some more space here. It says round to 4 decimal places. So in interval notation, I'll just copy that. So 0.8786 is the low end, and 0.9318 is the higher end. And then try an equality form if you're asked for this form. 0.8786 is less than P, the population proportion, which is less than 0.9318. We want to interpret. So we're going to say we are 90%, and I'll type this up, confident that the true population proportion of patients who tested, or we should say who take this medication and had alleviated symptoms. So we're 90% confident that the true population proportion of patients who take this medication and had alleviated symptoms is between 0.8786 and 0.9318. Now, I'll put in parentheses because being that this is a proportion, you might also be asked for it in percentage form, and this only applies to proportions, okay? 93.18. So this is also like saying, 93.18%. So this is also like saying that we are 90% confident that the true population proportion of patients who take this medication and had alleviated symptoms is between 87.86% and 93.18%. I would say that for the proportion, for the population, if the majority for the population, because I say majority, look at this, 87.86 to 93.18%, that's a large percentage. If the majority of the population who had this medication had alleviated symptoms, I might say this medication works. You want to understand what the situation is telling you, okay? You want to interpret it for your own kind of realistic situation. So try to think of it, like maybe in your own life or in your own words, okay?